Well, hello and welcome. My name is Agnes Piercy. I'm an instructor here at UAGC and I'm a host for this session, Breaking Silos, Building Bridges, Rebuilding a Team Learning Culture Among Coaches. By joining us today, you acknowledge that this session is being recorded and will be shared with TLC materials. Microphones will be muted for this presentation, but we encourage you to post questions and comments in the chat. Also, we have enabled live transcription. If you would like to use it, click the show captions option at the bottom of your Zoom window. Now I'm pleased to introduce you to Hannah Niccum, Caitlin Kerrigan Cruz, Amanda Keefe, and Kristel Phillips.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. We're very excited to present today. As presented before, we're talking about breaking silos and building bridges, rebuilding a team learning culture among coaches, and really just kind of a panel discussion about our experience as our team transitioned into being one collaborative group of academic coaches. And so we're happy to be here. And I'll introduce myself again. I'm Hannah Niccum. I am currently an academic coaching services manager, and I'll pass it off to Amanda. You want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hello, everybody. My name's Amanda Keefe. I'm an academic coach senior, and I do many things with our team. Let's see, Kristel.
Good morning. I'm Kristel Phillips, and I'm an academic coach. Caitlin.
Hello, good morning. Thanks for having us, everyone. My name's Caitlin, and I am one of the associate directors here in Think Tank, and I oversee our academic coaching team.
Yeah, and so to kind of share where we live here at the University of Arizona, we're housed within the Student Success Department. And here, this department strategically advances student success as an institutional priority and a driving force of positive change for structures, policy, and people. The departments within student success work to support the success of undergraduate students through individualized academic support, academic skill building, tutoring, peer mentoring, and creating community using strength-based programming, evidence-based practices, and a robust assessment. There's a few different teams within the Student Success Department. The most student-facing ones are Think Tank, Thrive Center, and the SALT Center. And so we actually live within the Think Tank department. And here we offer a lot of support in math, writing, science, businesses, language, and academic skills. We have tutoring, the Writing Center, where it actually supports students with any piece of writing, not just for English courses, supplemental instruction, exam prep. We also have academic skills workshops, and we provide one-on-one academic coaching meetings to help students who need a little bit more support. Yeah, and so to talk a little bit more about what academic coaching is, our team actually designed like a success course that teaches mostly first-year students, strong student success skills, how to take good notes, quality study habits, how to transition, getting them connected to campus resources. But like we mentioned before, we also meet with students one-on-one, and we discuss their goals. We talk about their experiences, how their transition into college is going, and throughout their college journey, because we do support any and all students here at the university at any point throughout their career here or their time spent here. And mostly through those one-on-one coaching meetings. It is a free service for our students, and they can have up to 4 coaching meetings per semester. And it's been a really great journey to watch this program grow.
And the foundational theoretical frameworks that we use, it's Sense of Belonging by Strayhorn, Growth Mindset by Dweck, and Strength-Based Approach by Schreiner. And this is used in our coaching and our teaching, and it's a powerful way to help students.
So I wanted to launch into, I I want to say thank you to Hannah, Amanda, and Kristel, and the rest of the team for going through this big journey that we went through together. I wanted to start by giving a little bit of context. Hannah and I both started in fall of 2019, and this is how the org chart looked when we began in this position. So I am the associate director. This was the teams that I oversaw. And I wanted to paint this picture of where we were and where we are now because there have been dramatic shifts. So just starting right there. And then this is our org chart now. So there are fewer people, but it's in a different capacity. We're doing similar work, but differently. And I want to talk through how did we get to where we are today because it helps when we talk about the merger and understanding the purpose, the how, the why, etc. So in fall of 2019, when Hannah and I both started, I oversaw two teams. I oversaw an instructional team and an academic coaching team. They were called learning specialists at the time. There were two teams doing similar work, supporting students in pre-college level math and academic skill building. One was in the classroom and one was only meeting one-on-one. So it did feel very divided and siloed. And we also had a lot of people. We had a lot of people because the student population that we served was connected to a program that had tripled in size, so they tripled the staffing. And then when Hannah and both came in, it was a big team. And so we went through that. And then in spring of 2020, that is when the global pandemic hit for all of us. I think that's something that connects each and every one of us in this Zoom room and on this globe to each other is this pandemic. So what happened in that time is, of course, just like other folks who were primarily in person, we were switched to online, and we also changed our modalities. Our classes went online, and then the institution went through this budget and financial crisis, which actually resulted in some layoffs on our team. And so what was interesting about this was, well, it wasn't interesting, it was very challenging, but what was interesting is our team got reduced, but the number of students continued to grow. So that was a challenge that we were still facing pretty much up until last year. And so in spring of 2021, we were able to come back in person, but our classes were still large and online because we had to reduce our instructional team. Our classes went from Zoom, and we taught Zoom classes of roughly 80 students each. And so that was a challenge. In the same breath, we were still divided. So we had our coaches and we had our instructors. We still remained short-staffed. So in fall of 2022, we were physically back on campus, but before that, we were still teaching online. So we were able to advocate to bring our class back from online to in-person. One of the trade-offs with that was we went from meeting 2 times online to 1 day in person. And that was an adjustment for our team. I feel like my team always jokes a little bit that no semester is the same, and that is very, very true. We, I think by definition, are always adapting and evolving to meet the students where they're at and also the needs of the institution, and that can be really challenging. So one thing that happened in fall of 2023, we were back in person with our meetings. We could still offer availability to meet online, but our classes were in person. But the program that we served by default was discontinued. And it was because a definition of who could be included in our program had changed from actually the Department of Education. So that was an interesting switch for us to consider and think through. The class still remained the same. It actually took us 2 years to change the class. Before it was non-credit bearing, and we were able to change it starting this fall 2025 to be credit bearing 1 unit. And that was a big change and improvement for both, for the students specifically. So they were able to get credit for their courses, and it counted towards their GPA. And so in fall of 2024, what I kept noticing over what had been 4 years of being in this role was that, 5 years of the role, is we kept going through the cyclical nature of we have more and more students and we're still short-staffed. The instructors would have to lean over to ask the academic coaches to help teach on top of their 40-hour work week. So it kept coming up. And so as I was thinking of this, like the challenges that I kept seeing and the patterns was We had a lot of underutilized staff members. So we had a couple managers at the top, and then we had a fair amount of folks below. But there was no progression and on the instructional side, and there was a lot of high turnover. So we had to hire and rehire and retain folks often. What is also another thing that we consistently grapple with is this imbalanced caseloads from fall to spring. We typically are slammed in the fall and we're much lighter in the spring. And so we're always trying to figure out like, how can we calibrate a little bit more, take on new and different work and support students differently. But that's always a trend that I've noticed. And then there's also some inequity between the team. Our instructors were 9-month contracts and our coaches were 12-month contracts. And so I think that continued to be felt pretty heavily. Their pay was a little bit different. They were 9-month contracts. And so that was challenging. And it also led to our instructional team feeling pretty isolated. And so that current structure that we had with 2 teams, it limited our members' ability to meaningfully contribute or collaborate to work outside of just being passive recipients of the curriculum and then going to teach. They weren't involved in actually building the curriculum. And so that I saw as an opportunity for us to adjust. Now, when I was thinking in fall 2024, I mean, there's a couple of, I had thought about a merger before, but this was the precipice of making it actually happen. So when I was thinking of what are the benefits of a combined team, one of that is I wanted to better utilize our current team members. We have doctors, including Dr. K here. We have a lot of folks who are very skilled and talented educators. They are passionate, they're hardworking, they care deeply for students, and they bring a lot of life experience that can serve any and all student that we serve. So that's one thing that I'm very proud of in Think Tank is we are pretty much open access. We can support any student that might need us. So we want to be there and present. I was hoping to make things a little more efficient, and I think we have in some regards, and there's still work to be done. But that was one benefit I saw. Instead of like having separate meetings, doing this, it was like, let's come together, let's have cohesiveness in our assessment efforts, in expectations, etc. And we could apply academic skills building both in and out of the classroom. It would take a different approach and or skill set, but it was important. It also helped us increase our capacity to serve students and enhance their rapport. So one thing that we've noticed this fall was that our coaches who are in the classroom, they're their instructors, but they're also the coach. And so students feel like they already have a connection with their instructor and are able to come and find who their academic coach is very easily. Before we had lots of different levels of support, but it was actually just a lot of levels of confusion for students when we had multiple people in the classroom. And it also helped us increase our partnership and opportunity to serve more students. So Amanda indicated before, we used to be behind a paywall for students. It was fee-based for the general campus or general student population. We, of course, would serve the students in our classes and specific populations, but anyone else, they had to pay. It was a fee-based service. So one benefit of building this combined team is we were able actually to like remove that barrier and make coaching free, which is awesome and a big benefit for us. And it also honors a more diverse skill set. I think coaches are inherently teachers and teachers are inherently coaches, but you can have a little more diverse experience in applying those skills in different ways, and also something else to add to our resumes. So fall, again, we had 1 week to prepare. We had 1 week before the week of this, before the term started. And we said, coaches, Friday before week 0, surprise, we are doing this, it's happening. And you have 1 week to get prepared and trained. So I would say that fall was a challenge. Yes, was it a challenge, you 3? Yeah. And so we had coaches teaching and we had teachers coaching. But it was a challenge with changing expectations to roles and team dynamics. It still very much felt divided. So we made it happen, but it was very much survival mode and people felt pretty burnt out and confused. So, you know, I keep pushing the team to say like, this is going to take time. It's not a quick and easy process for us to make a monumental change like this. So one thing I forgot to mention was I was actually out on maternity leave. I had my baby the first day of classes of fall 2024 and said, peace out, you guys figure it out. Not on purpose, but they did. And so when I came back in the spring, I noticed a lot of feelings. A lot of people were frustrated. They were trying to figure out and make sense of, why did we do this? And did this work? And there's not a lot of time when you're in it to process. So what I did in the spring was take time to build a re-engagement plan with the team. And what that meant is I had each team member meet with me. I had them fill out a SWOT analysis where they could talk about what the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats were of this merge. And then I was able to bring all that feedback together, code it into themes, and report back. And it also helped us identify where are the needs of the work that we're doing and like where are gaps. And so we had a retreat in the spring where it helped us serve as a little bit as a reset for the team to say, like, this is happening. We're not going back. How can we move forward? So that was an important, I think, pivotal point. And so when we talk about where we are now, when it comes from the summer and the fall, we took the retreat as an opportunity to, again, come up with different focus areas where there were smaller teams where they were able to focus on a specific task. So, and not just task, that sounds very trivial, a different area to focus on. So one of those was coaching and workshops. So building out our workshops that we do for the entire community and campus, and more outreach, outward facing, getting the word out about coaching. The other was curriculum and teaching. We have a new pilot course this semester. So Amanda and Kristel have been on that team working on building a class from the ground up. And finally, Hannah spearheads our professional development and assessment track. And so they are working to continue to develop us as professionals in coaching and also teaching. It's important for us to be able to look through each of these areas. And also, I feel like that track is interwoven across the others. And so that led to us having each coach as an opportunity to contribute and showcase their expertise. Again, we have lots of very talented, educated folks who are very much engaged in the work. It was peer-led, ongoing, reflective. And we also, one of the requests for the team was, can we build out something like an academic coaching core? And what that means is we need something to actually like more solidify us coming together. And that was values, learning outcomes, mission, vision, defining who we are on campus. And that was really helpful for the team, I think, to feel like they were coming together in a cohesive way. And finally, obviously, we want to focus on what is in our control versus what is not. I think that's a consistent reminder that I give not only to the team, but also to myself. It's what do we have in our control and how can we build a team that is agile, adaptable, can serve students in multiple ways. So with that, sorry for the rapid fire summary of that, but this is where we created some handcrafted questions that I'm going to hand over to, I think Hannah's going to be our MC for this portion. But thank you for hearing us out and hearing about our journey from point A to point B, because there was a lot of in between there as well.
Thank you, Caitlin. And during this time, if you have any questions for us, feel free to put them in the chat. We have just a handful of questions that each of us will discuss a little bit. For our panel discussion, we really just wanted to have kind of multiple vantage points. So just a reminder. See, my internet was unstable, my apologies. One of the things that we wanted for our panel discussion was just to present different vantage points across our team. And so, we have Dr. Kristel Phillips coming in as a prior instructor and then turned academic coach, Amanda as a coordinator, turned academic coach, and then just all of us kind of having these revamped roles. And so for our panel discussion is just kind of giving kind of insight into our perspective, how we handled those transitions. And so for our first question, Dr. K, what have you brought from your teaching experience into your coaching meetings and vice versa? And are there any specific tools that you use for both roles that kind of showcase the shared learning across the two teams?
Thank you, Hannah. After 35 years in the classroom, one of the skills I brought into coaching was an understanding of how students learn differently and how important it is to meet them where they are. And in teaching, I learned to design structure and accountability and clear expectations. Coaching principles have contributed a greater awareness in my classroom of what students might be going through. I'm more sensitive to recognizing signs of like anxiety and fear of speaking up or just something kind of being off with them emotionally, especially since we're coaching the students that we teach, right? And so teaching has impacted my coaching by having an understanding of how students learn and deal or not deal with situations like failing grades, talking with professors, and procrastination. But I've come to learn to emphasize to myself to listen carefully, to slow down and be curious about the student, and to emphasize individual goal setting for them. Those two perspectives now inform one another. My coaching conversations are more intentional because of my teaching background, and my classroom interactions have become more personalized and student-led because of what I've learned through the coaching.
Thank you. So for Amanda, Amanda, your role changed probably most significantly among almost everybody on our team. You began as a program coordinator just before the merge, and as that was leading course enrollment and our management of our program, supporting orientation, all of those things for our team. And but you also have an amazing K-12 teaching background, and so we really wanted your expertise and skills assisting navigating the merge. So your role definitely kind of shifted the most significantly as becoming an academic coach senior with teaching, coaching, and program coordination on top of all of that. So how do your roles and responsibilities intersect to support a shared learning culture? And can you provide some insight into what aided that transition from like coordinator to a coach doing all the things?
Yeah, thanks, Hannah. So as you mentioned, I was a program coordinator when I first came in, and I think I was hired at the end of April. And so I had just enough time to get through like enrollment season of the summer, and then we are walking right into the fall of the merger. But the great part of my like entrance timing was I learned a lot about the math placement, which is a huge part of our first year students attending the university, and a huge part of working like, figuring out our specific cohort that we work with and that we're getting enrolled into our courses. It also introduced me to a lot of campus partners throughout that process. So I was learning a lot about, the higher ed process, enrollment process, first year students, and a lot of their questions, wondering, scheduling, logistics. I was supporting the inbox, so I had to communicate directly with a lot of students and supported a lot of the orientation sessions. So I was having a lot of that ongoing communication with them. But I had that K-12 teaching experience, so I really love the relationship aspect of working with students more intentionally and building those relationships with them and seeing their progress and their change. So I was always eager and like excited about future potential to teach and work with them or coaching in maybe some form. But the merger actually gave me that opportunity to kind of step into that role, just maybe at a faster time than I had originally thought of. But I'm always open to learning and like taking in the experience of the present and where I'm at. So I just said, okay, what do I know now? And I know the current experience that these students are walking in with because I'm familiar with their math placement and their orientation. So I know some of those logistics, but I also know what they went through in their K-12 experience because I had recently been in that position. I worked in professional development. I was a teacher, even a middle school math teacher. So I knew some of those foundational pieces. And for students that maybe were struggling with math, I knew how to kind of tap into that voice and those foundational skills. So I just kind of tried to lean into that teaching toolbox that I had from my history and figured out like, okay, what can I use from that to help support me? And knowing that we have this team of really diverse skill set individuals, like how can they support me with their experiences too? And I've never been afraid of asking questions for my own sake of clarity. So I definitely leaned on their experience too, since everything was a little bit new to me. But I like to kind of think of, when I worked in the restaurant industry and I started as a host, I got to really learn how to interact with the customers. And then I also learned about the flow of the restaurant and the food items and everything like that. So when I moved into a serving position, I was that much better of a server because I knew so much more about the system itself. And I feel like it's similar in that way. Like being a program coordinator, I learned so much about our program and our history that it only made me a better teacher and a better coach because I had all that background information from my own history and from the program itself. But yeah, how about you, Hannah? You ready? For you, what systems or routines have helped cultivate a learning mindset on the team? And how have you seen feedback loops between the coaches and supervisors change or evolve?
Very loaded question. I think for even as the simple systems in terms of just sharing materials, that was such a small thing, but it made a huge difference with the merge. In fall of 2024, we were working on 2 different box systems, trying to find folders and resources. So just even consolidating, sharing agendas, sharing our resources, sharing our curriculum for both coaching and teaching. So even just the simple things of just the tangible systems that we were using was really helpful just to kind of get us all on that same page. But I think what has helped most is that when we built in some of these routines, it wasn't just part of the week, but it was like it became part of our identity was to help and support each other in this role. It wasn't just the reset of a staff retreat. It was definitely something that we wanted to build in. And so I think previously in that first fall, we had also separated our meetings. We had a specific coaching meeting and then we had a specific teaching meeting, which I think kind of exasperated that switch and that split and divide a little bit unintentionally. And so since then, some of the changes that we've made is we've kind of we have our weekly staff meeting where all of us get to contribute. They're not just check-ins and informational, but they're really creating spaces where like workshop real coaching scenarios. We ask any questions that we have about the curriculum. We share what worked. We talk through horror stories of our, if there are any, and we just kind of talk through what didn't work. And so it's really a time for us to kind of experiment, reflect together. And to me, that has been most helpful in shaping our team culture so that it's not so divided. We've done book clubs and professional development series that kind of connect theory to what we do every day, which has been really helpful in training in both of those core areas, and really just kind of helped develop that shared language across motivation and various learning strategies. And I think regarding feedback loops, they've changed a lot. When I first started, feedback it felt like it was very one way, where like supervisors or as managers, like we would share notes with our team, and that was kind of that. And I feel like because of the merge, it's been a lot more of a two-way conversation among the team. As part of the leadership, we've asked for a lot of feedback from people and that have spent a lot of time kind of brainstorming ways just to make adjustments or to use their expertise in the areas that they want to help us shape our professional development curriculum, to help guide the trainings that they needed. If a coach needed more support in one area, we made sure to kind of bring that out in our weekly meetings. And so and to commend Caitlin, the mid-semester check-ins that she did, she met one-on-one with each of our 13 coaches just to hear about their experience. And that to me was a really good reflective tool for our coaches to be able to, again, say like what's going well, what needs adjustment. And I think for all of us, when it comes to these feedback loops, it wasn't just about our performance, but it was also like going back to kind of our frameworks of growth mindset. It was really showing our growth and our problem solving skills together more collaboratively. And I would say that's what's made the biggest difference with feedback. Is it's less of a feedback as critique and more feedback as collaboration, to where coaches are really like building this program with us and everybody feels supported and involved. And that has taken time. We're not perfect and we're not fully there yet, but I feel like the more effort that all of us are making just to feel heard and responded to, I've seen a dramatic difference in just the year time of the merge. So with that big merge, Caitlin kind of spearheading that, what advice or lessons learned would you give to other leaders navigating a reorganization while also kind of trying to protect team morale and learning?
It's a really great question. So yes, I do take a full responsibility for this was my idea from the get-go. And I think it was reflecting on what are the challenges that we continue to face and how can we bring teams together? Because we worked a lot in silos, and I think it's important that in these times when there's a lot of instability, we focus on the stability with each other. And so when it comes to advice or lessons that I've learned, I think before the merge, when I told our managers, like, this is happening, I said, this is not going to be one and done. Like, it's not going to be a quick process. We had 1 week to prepare the coaches and the instructors to be doing the opposite job in addition to their preferred role. But it was far more than that. So we are roughly 15 months into this merge, and we're still in it. I would say, like, change takes time, and it was, yes, instantaneous, like, okay, surprise, you're teaching now, but there's a lot of time that goes into a purposeful change like this, where you are making sure that you're hearing the folks and who are directly impacted and making space for their opinions, their perspectives, and be able to continue to move the team forward. And so I think my goal as the manager is I want to focus on the team. The team members, they need that time, they need that space to process. And so I typically, don't meet with everybody weekly, but I wanted to make sure I was present at our team meetings and I was making space for anyone that wanted to come and talk with me. So I think that's you can't really rush people through a transition this monumental. And one other thing is, like, I want to make sure that I am imposing on the team that it's okay to make mistakes. So it reverts back to the growth mindset of, like, you try, and if it doesn't work, we try again. And it's okay to make mistakes because we're all lifelong learners. We all love educators, and we're loving educators, and we love to be educated. So it's important to create space and time for team members to ask questions, try things, make mistakes, and position ourselves as being adaptable to whatever the needs are of the students, but also of our unit and our division. And so we are constantly iterating. And I think sometimes people get frustrated because they just want stability, but that's often not the reality of the university that we work in. Is there's a lot of change, there's a lot that evolves. And so what we do is we can focus on creating structure and stability within how we function. And that's important. And I also remind the team, and any advice for a manager that might be thinking about this, is that nothing is ever set in stone. Things evolve, and it's okay to switch and change things. I think sometimes in the spring I heard, like, feedback of, like, it's just not working. And again, I revert back to, this is going to take time. Like, we're not done. We're not done with this transition. And candidly, from a managerial perspective, and we're in a financial crisis, I was looking at, like, how can I protect the team by providing one position that has diverse skill sets, because it's a little bit more challenging to target one team, be like, oh, they teach this class, we're going to cut the class, and then bing, bang, boom, they're gone, right? And so thinking strategically of, like, how can we position ourselves to be can be plugged into multiple initiatives, support networks for students, et cetera. So for me, that was important lessons, was encouraging the team that it takes time. Change happens over time. Focus on the team, create that space, encourage them that it's okay to make mistakes. And then we also just need to be continually assessing where are the needs and how can we adapt, because nothing is ever set in stone.
Thank you. So the next couple of questions are really for all of us on our panel. And again, for anybody attending, if you have any questions for us, feel free to write those in the chat as well. But for any of us, what's one mindset shift that you think has made the biggest difference for you in building a team learning culture?
I think the collaborative mindset of our department has just expanded, right? And allows everyone to contribute and grow rather than feeling defined by your specific role, right? And we've always had a respect for one another, both the coaches and the instructors. We had a good respect for one another, but it's grown so much through crossing over the lines and contributing to each other's projects and goals now.
Yeah, I think you and Hannah, you and Caitlin kind of shared it too, of like, we're building this program together. We all have a say in like how it looks for us using our strengths and kind of leaning on each other. And so I feel like it's been fun seeing like what other people see in me and then seeing what I admire and aspire out of a lot of my colleagues. And with that kind of collaboration, like you said, Kristel, we have been able to really like enjoy each other's presence in our staff meetings. We meet every Friday, and now it's a genuine like joy to work with each other and see each other and learn from each other. And with I come from a teaching experience and a program coordinating experience, but coaching was something that was still new to me. The frameworks were new to me. So I'm still striving in that, but there's a lot of professional development and engaging conversations that are happening that are helping me grow in that space. And that's because of this like new merging framework where there is a whole team that's developing strong professional development in this book club where we can kind of talk about some of these experiences that we're having and how to improve our conversations and how to address certain scenarios and things like that. So the mindset in general is like just being more open and enjoying each other's presence and being able to learn and grow from each other.
I'd say from a manager standpoint, for me, it was also really that mindset of we're all on the same team. I think previously because of layoffs and scarcity of resources, there was this innate competitor vibe that we all kind of brought into it where we felt like we were competing teams. And for me, going from that mindset of being a competitor to a colleague, of like we're all on the same team, everyone's a teacher, everyone's a learner, regardless of titles or years of experience. Like once we started treating everybody on our team and like showing their expertise, that collaborative mindset, whether it came from a classroom or a one-on-one meeting with students or challenges that they had faced, like our culture, as Kristel said, like it really did explode. Kind of building that trust with people, kind of flattening that hierarchy among us as well. And so just made it a little bit more of a collaborative than correction. And so for me, it was just that mindset shift of like, we're all navigating this together and we all have something to learn through it.
Yeah, I would certainly echo any and all of what has already been said. I think the biggest, I don't know if it was a mind shift for me, but I think I saw everybody's potential and expertise before they did. And so I think being able to empower academic coaches to help with some of the help with work and have I don't want to say skin in the game, but like they are helping build the curriculum. They're helping build the professional development versus before what it felt like did feel very hierarchical. And so it was very much the work was like bottlenecked at the top of the manager level. And then a lot of folks were just waiting. They were waiting for slides. They were waiting for work to be distributed to them. And so trying to contribute in a meaningful way, I think it was a challenge, and we're still figuring it out, if I'm being honest. We have different working styles, and I think we have a pretty big team, not as big as it was, but we still have 15 positions on our team. And so thinking about that is how do you create space, but also structure for everybody to be able to feel like they know what's going on and there's an order and operation. And I think it's honing in on each individual strength to figure out how do they contribute to the larger picture. So Hannah, for example, is like so organized and has really helped us also build structure into our team, and then also be a voice for some of the coaches who also want that. And so that's been really, really helpful. And I think just figuring out how do we be purposeful, decisive, and organized in our work, while also being open to anything that might come across our plate. So, but yes, everyone has something to contribute, and that's honestly the beauty of this merge was like, let's build space for people to be able to share what they do, share what they know. And it also leads back to that strengths-based approach of like, let's focus on what people can bring to the table, because it's not just 4 people at the top. We have a team of, 16 people that can contribute to this larger picture and or goal. So, yeah.
Well, for the final question we have planned is kind of looking ahead, looking forward. So again, any of our panelists, how do you hope that this team learning culture continues to evolve in the next year?
I hope we continue to expand our expertise through the professional development. That's something that we've done within our respective teams before the merge, right? And now we're starting to do it again. We're doing an amazing study through the book Coaching A to Z with lots of fun activities, and it's just been really helpful for me. And I hope that we'll just continue to help one another and just continue to the merge, right?
Yes, I'm right there with you, Kristel. I think too, just living through so many changes in just the year and a half that I've been here, it's just kind of together as a team being more not accepting, but like understanding of what we have control over and what we don't have control over, knowing that things are changing and evolving, the needs of our students are changing and evolving. We know that our admissions process is going to look different next year. So how is that going to impact things? Like not getting overwhelmed with the future, but just kind of seeing what's in front of us at this point in time, what are our needs to serve students, and how can we do that to the best of our abilities as individuals, but as a team collectively, and just kind of being open to growing more in our dynamic as a team, but also like kind of accepting the changes as they continue on, because they will keep changing. So, yeah.
Yeah, I certainly would echo both what Kristel and Amanda said, but I want us to be able to take the framework that we've built to take on new, more exciting projects. We have a class right now that we serve fewer students, but like I want to position us as like the best kept secret on the university. And now that coaching is free, we need to rip it open. Like I want people to be able to know who we are, what we're doing, and be able to continue to share the work and the expertise that we have on our team and the students that we can serve. So I think that's been really important for this semester and this year we've been working on building our identity and solidifying that a little bit, the foundation where we can. And now it's a matter of like, let's get the word out there and let's take on new projects and new responsibilities, specifically in the spring, because we have a lot more bandwidth. And so I think having our team along for the ride with that is important. And I hope that they are okay with learning and taking on new things.
Yeah. And I echo all of that. I think the biggest thing is with so much change that comes is also taking moments to really make reflection part of our daily rhythm. It's very tempting to just do it at the end of a semester. So for me, what I'd love to see happen is just think of how even the little wins, celebrating the little wins at team meetings, or like just quick debriefs after coaching sessions, just kind of building in that reflection of like what did work well this week. I think that keeps the learning mindset alive of like, what did you learn this week in your meetings? That to me helps our team see ourselves not just as like service providers to our students, but also a learning community among ourselves. That's curious, that's adaptive, always learning from each other and from our students. So for me, it's building that. I feel like with the merge, it felt a lot of the feedback, like a lot of feedback was given, but I feel like now moving forward, I'd love it to be more reflective, of like, look what we've done and look what we still have yet to do. So that's one big thing that I hope continues to evolve. But we do have about 15 more minutes left. Are there any questions from any of you on our call?
Thank
Yeah, thank you.
I just wanted to thank you all. This has been a very informative presentation, lots of ideas and practical advice to consider. So, do we have any questions from the audience? I guess oh, Rebecca, what new forms, if any, did you have to set as a team that helped foster unity and collaboration?
I would say a lot of that is structure, as Caitlin kind of alluded to earlier. That was a big thing with the two silo teams previously. There was inevitably kind of a lot more flexibility with that, and so some of the new norms we had to set was that structure of and accountability as a team. So that really has fostered a lot of unity with our team, that we're all kind of on the same page. We all have the same expectations, shared goals when it comes to assessment, and shared teaching philosophies when it comes to like our curriculum and things. So that's one big thing that comes to my mind.
I think with the structure too, it was great from the managers, because it's hard when you're doing one role and then how do I also take on these other hats and allocate my time throughout the week. So a great thing that the managers did was, based on your position within that chart that Caitlin shared, was like, okay, we need to have like this many meeting availabilities. You're going to teach this many sections. So there was structure in like knowing how to allocate your time. I don't know if that was necessarily like a norm, but I feel like that's like the unity, because there was a lot of like that separation of, this is what you're doing with your 40 hours, but this is what you were doing. And now it's like, okay, we're all like expected to have this many availabilities for students. We teach, relative, depending on like your level, you would have all the same number of sections in terms of teaching. And so I feel like that part was helpful. And then we all had like the same time devotion for our collaborative work. So we have like a weekly team meeting with our track. So like my curriculum team meets for an hour each week, and same with the other ones. So there was a lot more like structure in our time allocation too.
Yeah, I'd echo the same. And I think as we have our focused area in our work, I think one thing that we're continuing to work on is like, how can we empower the track that also aligns with our larger goals and missions, as well as we did create a mission and a vision together. I think that really helped kind of set the framework for we're one team. We're not two, we're one. And so I did a series over the summer where I had people come and provide feedback on the mission, the vision. It was interactive. We brought people together, and we did this over Zoom actually for the most part. And so it is possible to do it over Zoom. Doesn't have to be in person all the time. And I think that was really important for the team to feel that they have some say or input. And we would always bring it back in the large team meeting. It was like optional, but the large team meeting, we would say, how do we feel about this and what recommendations? So everybody had their eyes on it. They had ability to contribute. I think that was important. As far as the track work, I think we're still figuring out a little bit of like, what's like, how much can we, I don't say how much can we empower them, because we want to empower them, but then like, where does that butt up against like the expectations at the managerial level and the leadership level? And so I think we're always trying to figure out exactly. And it's still a work in progress for sure. We had a process for praxis and developing that, and we weren't able to anticipate some of the issues that we'd run into. And so like, again, it's okay to make mistakes, but like, let's try again and let's figure it out.
I think as the old person on the team, I just tried to like bring joy to it. Like, this is a good idea. This is wonderful. We're all merged and we're doing these wonderful things. And I love to learn about coaching. And like, I just tried to bring that to the table, just to try to, I don't know, make a little calm in our world.
We have another question from Rebecca. What's the format for your book clubs? Are there any standout favorite titles so far?
Go ahead, Hannah. Why don't you talk about the book club? Yeah.
Our team is going through coaching A to Z. But so we've been going through this book, and this has been really helpful, just to kind of go through. It goes through the alphabet, and it's different things of like how to work through coaching, and it part of our sessions and our team is making it really interactive, and it just gives us good questions to ask in our meetings of like, for A is like, what have you already done? B, how are you becoming? C, care. D, difference. So it just kind of goes through. So that has been a big resource for our team, and that has been a standout. Any others you can think of, Dr. Phillips? We've gone through there are a couple of others.
No.
Yeah.
KNOW, not NO. And we're still in it. We're going to meet tomorrow to talk about the letters M, N, and O. So each chapter is dedicated towards a letter that you ask in a coaching situation and how you can like bring out the best in people. And so I think you could find, I think this book is very applicable to any aspect of your life. I do this sometimes with my toddler as well. But then it's helpful to ask the team, especially through transition, because it helps again with that reflection. It's like, let's stop and think about how we're processing everything that's changing, because we all go. And I think it's important to slow down and actually reflect on what's going well. And I appreciate that, the perspective from Dr. K too, because I think our team, they can focus on the negative. And I think it's really important to focus on what's going well, not ignore what's not going well, but like, let's focus on how we're continuing to move forward. How do students access to academic coaching? We will put our link in our website. It's a form on our website and they fill it out. And within a couple of days, they will get assigned an academic coach who will reach out to them to their email. So it's pretty easy. I'm going to link in our chat here that this is our website. And then there's a button there that says register. It is free to students. We have 4 free sessions. Again, we made that a big shift when we were able to do the merge. That was one awesome side effect of like, we were able to serve more students, and it used to be fee-based, and now all University of Arizona students get 4 free sessions. I can't say we've served a ton of UAGC students, but happy to. If anyone wants to, we do meet with students over Zoom as well. I think our focus is pretty much main campus, but it's not exclusively. So if you have students that you're like, man, we could use a little bit of help, please send them our way. We would love to see them. No problem.
I think the biggest part of our journey, or like you said, like moving forward, is just building relationships with other campus partners, and UAGC and Arizona Online and all the other versions of UA that we are working with too, and across main campus, is just getting other departments familiar with our service. And you're reiterating that it's now free for students. That's something that we're working towards. So there are some instructors like that are suggesting or referencing academic coaching to their students. And so they're kind of hearing it through the grapevine and coming to us. We do more and more tabling events to try to get the word out. But yeah, the message is growing.
I have more like an organizational question. Where do academic advisors fit in here?
Mm.
And how do you communicate with them?
That's a really great question. And I think we often think of ourselves a little bit of a diagram where we're not advisors who do degree, they help students understand the degree requirements related to their degree and which classes they need to take in order to graduate. They also do other things, but that's like their primary role. And then we have our like mental health counselors who are really, specifically trained to be counselors. And I believe we're kind of like, I would say like we're life guides to the university. And so we can often be that intersect of those two, in addition to being experts in learning strategy and whatnot. But we are very clear with advisors, like we're not advisors, but we can have time to help students learn how to learn, access resources, navigate campuses, and then also help them create a plan to be a successful student. So that's kind of where we live. We're somewhere in the middle, but we're definitely not advisors. And when we partner with advisors, we talk to them and we say like, we are a complement to your work. We are not doing your work, but we can help complement and or refer students back to you, and you can refer them back to us. So it's a little symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, we talk about like a warm handoff. We work a lot with first year students, and there's a lot of times they don't even know how to get a hold of their assigned academic advisor. So it's a lot of walking through the process with them on like, this is the one that's assigned to you, this is their email. Sometimes if they're having challenges getting a hold of them, then we will like initiate, an internal email with them CC'd, just so that like a conversation can get going. And then it's also reverse. We've had advisors reach out to us and say, hey, I'm working with a student. They could use a little bit of support with some study habits. I showed them the link to get academic coaching, if you could reach out to them soon. So it kind of goes back and forth. It's been really cool to watch the relationship and the dynamic grow, though.
This is great. Thank you. Just one quick question. Have you published anything about this model of yours?
No, but Hannah and I were talking about this yesterday. And I do have to give a big kudos to Dr. K too. She built and spearheaded creating a book for our class. That was awesome. But I definitely think we need to like get our brains together and publish because it's been a pretty monumental shift, and I think we have a lot to share.
Excellent. That would be great. Thank you. So I don't know. I didn't see any other questions from the audience. Or have I missed anything? I'm going to post the URL for the feedback in the chat again, so our audience can provide some feedback about the session.
Yeah, and please feel free to reach out to us at any point. We would love to support students wherever you are on campus. And we're at thinktank.arizona.edu in case you want to come find us. And please don't hesitate to reach out. I think our information is on our bio too for on the conference as well. So
Yes, great. Well, if there are no other questions, I think I'm going to close the session, and I want to thank you, team, and thank you to the audience for your participation. Please use the survey linked in the chat to nominate TLC presentations for conference awards and share your feedback on this presentation. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you.
thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.